Alright guys and girls, we're here, we're at the conclusion, issue 7 of Ultimate Spider-Man. The conclusion to the great arc, great power and responsibility. Okay, so we start off with the conclusion of the fight. So we jump right back in the fight where we left off, where he said Parker, and he goes, "Who are you?" At this point, he still doesn't know he is Norman Osborn. They're fighting back and forth. He's using his web slingers and everything in his arsenal. In fact, he even creates a little web to jump and land into to help padding even smoother. At this point, they're having a pretty good epic battle. They're jumping between rooftops, fighting here or there. At some point, the copters from the NYPD show up. They're basically trying to make him stop. They're basically saying, get on the ground. Goblin tries to shoot something with the windshield, and Peter, you shoot something to stop it and cover it so it didn't do any damage. Peter chases after Green Goblin because the Green Goblin takes off and ends up on a bridge. He ends up going out there fighting, and the NYPD starts shooting at Goblin. Goblin at that point gets really mad, and he's going to start throwing fireballs at the helicopter, but Peter stops him. And at which point he hits him. He's like, "Don't hit him anymore. You're just going to make him more and more angry." He jumps at Peter. Peter moves out of the way, and he falls off the top of the bridge into the water. And you see him clawing on his way down, like at the very bottom, like trying to reach up, but claws, and it falls into the water. At which point Peter's like, "Hey, Spidey, stop. I'll go after him." And at this point, they're treating him like he's a criminal as well. They're like, "You stop. Get on the ground." At this point, you see an awesome scene where Spider-Man, like, basically, dodges all their bullets, doing like handstands and whatnot, and gets away. And that's the end of the fight, really. All we can think about it, like, he falls off, and that's just the end of the fight. We'll get to my thoughts of that at the very end. So at this point, we're back at the school, and everything's going on. Peter acted like he fell underneath something and like wedged him, so that's where he was the whole time. And it's basically just like a war zone. This whole middle school is like a war zone. And Harry basically at this point lets it out that they don't know who it was, and he goes, "I know who it was my father." And the cops go like, "What are you talking about, kid?" And he basically goes, "He didn't die in the lab like y'all thought he did. That's my father." And the cops like, "Maybe we should go talk somewhere else." I think they basically think he's delusional at this point, even though he was not. Aunt May shows up and Mary Jane's mom show up. They're hugging him, and at this point Peter's conflicted. He goes, "Do I tell Harry he was right? Do I tell him the truth? Do I tell him that he was chasing me, or do I tell him that he was chasing him? I don't know." At this point, does it really matter though? And he basically says, "Hang in there, Harry," as he looks off to the skyline. And then at the end panel, this is the very last panel of the book, we see the bridge, 2 boats, water moving, and at the very last panel you see air bubbles. So that alludes to the Green Goblin still alive. And that's the end of issue 7. Okay, so now my thoughts on the whole series as a whole. I loved it. I loved the fact they reinvented Peter, and I thought Uncle Ben was kind of a little weird for me personally, but he fit the 90s era. Also, quite frankly, I'm not sure I dig the Green Goblin, because that fight was not nearly as epic as it should have been. I'm not so sure I like, Gargoyle Goblin. I'm gonna call him Gargoyle Goblin. That's the best way I can describe him, Gargoyle Goblin. I did like, however, the fact Peter understood the power is his actions have power and weight. So the fact that he chose not to stop the guy at the deli that day affected him later down the road, and he would never let that happen again. I really liked that. So overall, as a series, this is technically the first trade, all first 7 issues in the first trade. I think it was good. I can't wait to see where they take it from here. Like I said, I dug a lot of it, and I can't wait to see where we get all our other villains, Doc Ock, maybe New Goblin, Electro, Lizard, and our Red Venom. So we'll discuss that when we get to Venom, but I've already read the Venom mark. It's pretty sweet. So overall, as the first 7 issues, it was good. Read it. If you're a Spider-Man fan, I believe it's a must read. Bendis does a really good job of this. I do believe this is Bendis' masterpiece. I have read a lot of Bendis' work, and quite frankly, this is up there on top of his work. So if you like Spider-Man and you want to see a new take, a different take, a breath of fresh air, if you will, give it a shot. Until next time, y'all take her easy.